Morning, guys. I don't know. I'm an impromptu type of person, so I'm driving to work. I've had a horrible week. I've been having a flu, and I'm probably only settled yesterday, I think, with all this muscle pain and obviously not gonna go in medical terms. And then obviously then as a student, I worked yesterday what we call night stay. So I left the hospital at around 9 o'clock, right? I'm so over it. Thank God it's Friday. You know, when we used to, I never really used to appreciate that TGIF, but I think of late I'm appreciating the TGIF. Anyways, impromptu as I am and spontaneous as I am, I wanted to talk on something, right? I just saw this flower bed that, like, at a place that I drive past, like, literally every single morning. And I'm not sure if it's because then it's approaching spring and the flowers are starting to bloom. I think hence the congestion. I like my friends say that if you want to see the change in weather, if you want to see the spring is coming, just go to Testosterone. That was in at university, and I literally always required like an extra dose of something. There was a specific year that I required steroids, but I think for now I'm okay, right? I think this is just a normal flu. I don't think this is kind of spring related. But anyways, I drove past a circle that I always drive past, and it's close to a school. So I don't think I ever noticed this particular flower or these particular flower beds. And this morning I saw them, and they had this purple type of purple roses, if I'm not mistaken, and some tall flowers. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're really long and yellow, but they're very prominent and they're blooming. So I just realized that sometimes we drive past a certain place so many times, or we just walk past, or something becomes so familiar to us that we don't appreciate the beauty of it. So this morning, as I drove, like obviously I couldn't like stand and just like gaze and bask in the beauty. I just stood there, like as I turned, I looked at it and I was like, wow, these are actually pretty flowers. And this is actually a beautiful circle. Like, I would appreciate it more. But then I just realized that even in life, generally, we tend to familiarize ourselves with quite a lot of stuff. And with that, we don't see the beauty in anything. It's like, for example, if you come to me and tell me my brother is hot, I'll be like, you want to tell me that person is hot? But I mean, he's got hot features, so he's hot. And to somebody who doesn't see him every single day, it's gonna be like he's that tall, dark, and handsome little guy or guy. But for me, who sees him on a daily basis, I'll be like, it's just my brother, right? And also, if like if you come to my place and you tell me, oh, your place is cute, but because I'm so used to the sofa that's in there, I'm so used to my bed, I'm used to the furniture that's there, I've become so familiar to it, and I've taken advantage of the beauty in it. With that said, I think we just should just try to embrace the beauty in all the little things and look at everything with the intention of seeing something beautiful out of it. But also, I haven't posted in a bit, and I wanted to discuss on Mika Miller. Micah Miller, I think. I will say Mika because I'm Namibian, but it's Micah Miller, the pastor's wife, who was killed, or rather, death of a pastor's wife is the title of the docu-series. I hope it's what it is on Netflix. I watched it recently, and I don't know why I'm so in tune or inclined to things narcissistic. Maybe because I've been in a narcissistic relationship before, but it's just all things narcissistic kind of just draw me the attention, and I'm kind of also drawing away from it. Yo, I am swollen and tired. I'm drawing away from it because then you know how toxic it is to just focus on how toxic it is to focus on one thing. And I think of late I've noticed that, right? So Micah is one girl. She's a pretty Christian girly who was devoted to Christ, became virtual. Sorry, I'm driving to work and I'm trying to record this, so I'm gonna be focused on the road as well while I'm doing this. So, anyways, Micah is a young girl who has got married to a pastor, but I think that pastor is a narcissist. And I mean, when we all talk about generational stuff, right? If you listen to I think he's PJ or JP. His name was just not of importance to me, anyways. So JP Miller, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not JP, it's PJ, whatever. His name doesn't matter. So they are in this relationship, or rather, okay, Micah, firstly, one, her history is, I love doing analyzing family history, right? So Micah's family history is that she comes from a mom who I think she had about 5 to 6 children, and she was divorced, got married at some point to somebody else, and a lot of her kids, the litter of her kids, moved in with him, and then later they divorced in life. So she had this thing in her mind where she felt like, you know what, I'm not gonna get divorced. I'm not gonna, or like she just didn't want to be divorced. She wanted a perfect relationship. I mean, like everybody else, get into a relationship, be solid, not be like your parents, and. Lo and behold, she then joins a church. I think it was, I forgot the name of the church at this point. Doesn't matter, but she joins a church. It's obviously a Pentecostal church, but there's so many red flags in that particular church. I'm not against how people do things, but the one thing I've noticed while I was just watching, and I just realized that even in my spirit, I wouldn't sit in that particular church, was how they turned worldly music into gospel music. So they obviously changed the lyrics, but it's the same beat, same rhythm, and it went the same way as the worldly songs. So I did used to listen to these particular like music like that at some point in time, but I don't think it's something that you would want to play in a church as part of your gospel track. So anyways, this girl joins this particular church at 16 at a tender age, and she becomes a worship leader at a tender age as well. I think at 16 she was already what is this? A worship leader. And from 16 years of age, she then I mean, 16-year leading worship, like, where are the adults in this particular church? Like, why are you leading worship? Why is a 16-year-old a worship leader when this person is in the prime of the age of their life? So, anyways, fast forward, she goes and gets married to somebody who was also in church, and they were like, the teenage love, and the family kind of like loved the couple because they thought they were like the couple. So they get married, and some point in life, she and the pastor of the church, who then is PJ, become close. Like, because she was a worship leader, he starts texting her, and at some point in their texts, the messages become romantic. So they then started cheating in around 21 of age, if I'm not mistaken. Of note, they have like a 13-year gap or 15-year gap between them. So by the time she's 21, he's 30 something. I think he was 33 or 35. I'm not sure, but she was 21. She gets divorced because she got married at 18. She gets divorced from her then husband. And by the time she was 24, if I'm not mistaken, they got married. She and the pastor got married. Very fast marriage, but fast forward into the marriage, this man becomes very manipulative. She undergoes a breast augmentation, like and after the breast augmentation, her first episode of being manic, like prior to that, she had no mental illness, but I mean, things happen post theater in hospital, and she's apparently experiencing her first manic period episode. So she's now, bipolar. So she's started on treatment, or rather he gets her admitted, and then she started on treatment. And from then on, because this man was a preacher, right? And every sermon of his, he would literally talk about. He says he preaches about his life. And in one of his sermons, he talks about how women should not deny the husband of sexual whatever encounters or whatever, because then if the man doesn't get it at home, he's gonna get it from somewhere else. And later in life, she goes and tells her friends that she and her husband have like sex 4 times a day. I'm like, 4 times a day? Who has sex 4 times a day in life? Like, do you not have a life? Do you not have, I know you're husband and wife, but like, do you not have things to do in this life? Like, we've got to work and things. So when do you get time to have sex 4 times a day? Like, I can barely even eat 4 times a day. So yeah, so she then tells her friends, and I mean, everybody thought, oh well, that's your marriage. You guys are making it work, and. But then later on, she started then disclosing how toxic her marriage was. But I think at that point in time, he'd already manipulated her. She had started taking testosterone to, what do you call this? She started taking testosterone to meet up with his sexual demands, because then she wasn't. And obviously then the testosterone started changing her. She was a worship leader, as I said. She then, at some point, her voice, because of the testosterone, I think her voice changed. And yeah, so this man was just quietly abusive. So in the long run, she files for divorce, and 2 days after she filed for divorce, she commits suicide. And she committed suicide, I think, on a Saturday. And on Sunday, her husband was on the pulpit preaching. I'm like, why would you preach when you've lost your husband? Like, I mean, not your husband, but your wife. Why would you be out there preaching anything? Why would I? Like, if I lose anybody, be it a friend, you will not find me, and I'm a preacher, or even at work, you will not find me at work. If it's a close friend, if it's my partner, for cheesy, not gonna be at work. Um, like a close relative or anybody who's immediate to me, I don't think I warrant to be anywhere. I'm not even gonna be safe to do anything with regards to work. So this guy is out there on the pulpit, and he's there, and then towards the end of the sermon, like that part where they say, if you're not born again, come to the stage and whatever, where the pastor calls an altar call, basically. This guy goes like, yeah, so yesterday my wife committed suicide, and everybody's just like, huh? And those who didn't know, obviously, I'm also just surprised, because I'm like, news travels so fast anywhere. I was surprised that people just didn't know what had happened on that Sunday already. Because I mean, if somebody committed suicide on Saturday, I'm sure by Sunday morning before church, we would have all been by the did you know? So he goes there, and he's just, yeah, and yeah, she has been battling and whatnot. So I feel like he staged the whole bipolar. I don't think, and he said that she had stopped taking treatment, even though he had advised her family wasn't for it, and the family literally had like communications with her, where they literally advised her to consult the doctor if she felt like she needed to stop medication. So, anyways, whatever it is, sorry, only my cup of tea. So, yeah, that happened. And I was just like, narcissists have a way of doing things that I think people do not understand. And until you experience one, you wouldn't want to know. And I pray that not everybody experiences anybody. And It's always a good thing to encounter something and to talk about it, because then you're able to share about it and to just heal from it, obviously, and also heal other people, and also then take care of other people. So I strongly do not believe in always falling, but I believe in watching other people fall and learning from other people's mistakes, and not always just learning from your own mistakes. So this guy was like a narcissist. He followed her around. He would track her car on so many occasions. Like literally before she leaves the house, she would have to check, because he would put the trackers like on the tires and the front tires, and it's just sad. He tracked her around. Like it's like when she didn't want him, he regarded that thing of, if I can't have you, nobody else can, which is a very sad place to be in. And he literally, and abuse is so, like, emotional abuse is one horrible thing. She was such a pretty woman, a pretty lady, that if only she knew her worth. And but obviously she was manipulated and abused and whatever, to a point where she forgot who she was. But if only she knew who she was at that point in time, she wouldn't even committed suicide. Because I think the narcissists have a way of taking your everything, and they start telling you that you're not good enough, you are not beautiful enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not worthy, you're not, but they came forth so strong, whereby we call it bombing. They come so strong, they come off so strong, and they always try to make you look, or make a person look like they are evil, or they're the bad person. It's like, yeah, you see, I told them to do this particular thing. Like in this particular case, he wanted to show that he was a good person by saying she should take her medication, and meanwhile he was calling her all type of things and doing all type of things to her. So I'm just sad that, yet again, a young girl, or I mean, she was 30 when she committed suicide, so she was young, succumbed to what we call narcissistic abuse. And though she tried, I don't. I don't think she had enough help, and I don't think, and I think I mean, they were together for about 6 years. So I think that was quite a lot of time for her to. I mean, 6 years is a lot. Even 1 year, I dated a narcissist for a year and still healing from it. Shame. So I think, like, it's not that I'm hurt or whatever about it, but it still sits down that sometimes I have to sit and just remind myself of how pretty I am, and remind myself of how worthy I am, and remind myself of how, like, I was created for a greater purpose. And most of the times, one needs to remember, I'm not bragging or anything, but narcissists don't come after something that isn't worth it or isn't worth well. They'll always target somebody who's got great potential, because they're grandiose people. They have this self-entitled place, so they're always going to try and um go for something that is worthy of something. So in this particular event, I think she was a beautiful lady. She was a great worship leader, like with a beautiful voice. She had this mulatto appearance, like with black hair. She was just a beautiful, beautiful lady. So I think, yeah, so, like, if only you realize that you are worthy of so much, you wouldn't, sorry, I'm gazing away. I'm tired. I'm really tired. Like, I've worked so much, and I just felt like, what, if I don't share this, or if I don't talk about this, I'm gonna be like, never gonna do it. But yes. So anyways, narcissists target quite people with great potential. So if you've been in a narcissistic relationship, and I know we call every single person nowadays, like, we are there by everybody's toxic, everybody's narcissistic, everybody's, it's so much, and it's self-entitled error, which I do not, I don't concur with. But if we all can just sit down and analyze that narcissists do come for those that have great potential, and I'm not breaking. I just know I've got great potential in me. Because even at work, for example, if you have a narcissist at work, will target somebody who they feel um how do I say this? Who they feel have got an effect on their career, or it's because, like, you know, that pretty girl that walks in, or that smart person that walks in, and you know that they are better than you. The person at work that is a narcissist will only attack that particular person. They will not attack somebody who has got no potential. Like if you're a non-zilla or whatever, sorry, they will not do that. But once you've seen potential, or they've seen potential in you, they kind of, I feel like they've got this engulfing spirit in them that isn't right. So I don't know. But anyways, before I start talking a lot, because I really do talk a lot, and which is why I started a podcast, because apparently every single person who was a quiet but talkative person has started a podcast. But yeah, anyways, that is that. Real. I'm tired.